Alright, so now it's time to get into the workout part of this section. What we're going to be doing today is relaying some of the skills that we learned in the practice into more functional methods. So we're going to be playing with that wall bump movement again, but we're going to be adding some weight to it to see if we can turn the wall bump into a more functional lifestyle lift. We're going to be pairing our weightlifting movements or our hinging patterns with some bracing patterns. So in these 3 rounds, it's going to work like a circuit. You'll do a hinging movement, a bracing movement, a hinging movement, a bracing movement, and we'll repeat that 3 times through. Okay? In between movements, rest-wise, I'm not going to prescribe a rest here, but what I want you to be is fresh when you start the next movement. So that could be a minute, it could be 2 minutes, it could be 30 seconds. It depends on you and how difficult this should be. Out of that 6 to 20 rating, I don't want anything to feel like you're getting blood pressure in the brain, so nothing to feel like you're holding your breath unnecessarily. We should be breathing naturally the whole way through all of these movements, and out of that set of 20, a 12 would be great to get to, okay, as one of the top end numbers. So what I'll quickly run through are the movements that we use for our hinge first, both of those, and then I'll go through our bracing movements, and then I'll show you how one complete round will look like. Okay, so the first movement we're going to look at is going to be the good mornings, and the good mornings is exactly what that bump on the wall feels like. In fact, we can use that bump on the wall if we found we're still thinking that movement felt a little weird or we felt that midline positioning was hard to find. If we feel like we're ready to come off the training wheels and run into some open space, a good morning in open space looks like this. What we're going to do is start with our feet underneath our hips or our normal standing stance. We're going to be, I like to hold my midline just because it helps me stay aware so I know that I'm not arching or rounding as I'm doing this. And all we're going to be doing is letting our neck travel down with us at the same time, is bowing. And then standing tall. How low do you need to bow? As low as you can maintain. Okay, if you've got really flexy hamstrings and you can get your nose to your shoes, that's fantastic. If you can get there with a perfectly straight back and everything else is under control. If we find that hinging even a few inches forward is our limitations, that's great too. Okay, what we really want to be feeling is ourselves through this motion. It shouldn't be super difficult. Good thing here is thinking about midline too. If we are getting so far, and then we're thinking, man, I can go further, but I'm having to round my back to get there, that's suddenly we're losing quality of movement. And what we want to do is stick to is what is going to be the best for us. So the hands on the chest and the belly is the best place for me to feel it. Personally, I like to have a little bit of finger contact because I know as soon as I start rounding, my hands come closer, and I know if I start arching, they pull apart. So that can be a good little tactile cue by yourself to make sure that you're staying within the lines of where we want you to be. Okay? So good morning to that first movement. The second hinging movement we're going to be looking at is a deadlift. And we're going to be letting you choose an object to lift. So what I've got out here, I've pulled out 2 objects, and what we're going to be doing is turning this weighting in the outfield position into a concentric lift on the way up. So my objects I've chosen here, I've got a guitar amp that was in my garage. If you don't have a guitar amp, a bucket works well here, even a large jar, a box, something with a handle on it would be really nice. What we want to do is form our weighting in the outfield position with our feet over the top of the object. Okay? We're bringing our hands on our knees. We're pushing our knees out wide so they're in line with our heels, and we're bracing through our shoulders. From here, we're going to freeze everything in our body. We're going to let our hands sink in, and then we're going to itch our shins as low as our object needs us to go. So for me, I'm itching my shins. It's about 1 inch. I'm getting a hold of the object, and then what I'm going to do is stand tall with my object. Then I'm going to control back down, finding that same weighting in the outfield position, and standing tall again. Okay? We don't really want an object that bounces too much, because we're not wanting to play basketball here. We want to do deadlifts. Let me show you how this looks on the side. I'm standing over top of my object. It's in the middle of my feet. I'm finding weighting in the outfield, neutral spine, pushing my knees out, bringing my thumbs together, itching my shins, so I'm just bending at the knees, grabbing onto the object, still staying neutral on my spine, then standing tall with my object. Okay? What is a common fault here is as we start to lift, sometimes our back can round, and again, that's not what we want to think. So that's when we start to lose that midline, and we really want to be concentrating on how much control we have over that. Okay? If we don't have a guitar amp, here goes another option. What I've got here is a New World bag. and I've got it filled with cans. And that way I can control how heavy it is. This is fruit salad. There's surely some heavier things out there. I think like corn kernels, probably the heaviest thing you can find. And same deal with this. 2 handles. Find the stance a little wider. Weight in the outfield. Knees out. Hands together. Itchy shins. Find our handles. Stand tall with the object. Okay? If you are feeling really confident with that, and the 10 reps that we're asking you to do are no problemo, and you wanted to add more weight to it, a bucket full of water is about 10 kilos, or depending on how big the bucket is really, and that'd be my go-to if we really wanted to load it. But again, thinking midline position over everything else. Okay, I'm going to move the camera down just slightly to look at our bracing movements. Whoa. All right, so our 2 movements we're going to be doing are going to be high planks and hollow holds. Okay, they're both going to be 30-second holds. We may need to have our phone out just so we can check the timer on this. So our high plank position, what we want to be doing is putting our hands on the ground, shoulders directly above our hands. So if you could draw a straight line down, that's where it would be. Depending on where our wrist flexion was, if our dorsiflexion was painful getting into the chair, having a gentle twist of the wrist so our fingers are flaring out a little bit can make it feel nicer. If it was really, really bad, what we can do is in fact roll our hand over into a fist, just because we're not having to rely on that flexion at all. But same deal with where our shoulder needs to be. Okay, from here, what I want us to do is dig our toes into the ground and straighten our body out into a plank. Okay, if you have a mirror around or a camera or someone watching you, here are some common faults. An arched back is really common, and again, it's all about the midline position. The other common fault is a piked back, like this. Okay, and with this position here, what also normally happens is our shoulders will move back away from our hands. So if you can see now, my shoulders aren't in line with where my hands making contact to the ground. Okay, so what we want to do is make sure we're in that neutral position, we're braced, but we're still breathing normally, and we're going to hang out here for 30 seconds. It is possible to breathe normally doing this, trust me. Alright, give our hands a bit of a shake. Oh, my computer is telling me something. There we go there. Our other movement we're going to be looking at is a hollow hold, which is the same position, but we're not going to be supporting ourselves on our arms, so we're going to be turning upside down. Laying on our back. What we're going to be doing is finding that dead bug position that we had in our practice. So knees up and over hips. Find that 90-90. Hands up and over our shoulders. Checking our toes. And then from here, to get into a hollow position, what I want you to see if you can do is move your hands and feet at the same time away from your midline. Okay? That was challenging. What can happen here is maybe going just both arms at the same time is great. You'll see that I'm shaking doing this. That no midline change is happening. So if I'm lifting my shoulders back, and what happens is I start to arch to get comfortable, it means I've lost that midline, and I want you to bring the hands back in until you can support that. Okay? If you're getting a few shakes here and there for the midline, awesome. If you're having to hold your breath like this to get it to work, not as awesome. So I want to find a line in between where you can breathe naturally, but you can still maintain that position. Alright, so let me quickly run through one full round of how our workout's going to look. Oh, I'll try to do this all from one camera angle so I'm not jumping around with the camera. Okay, so I'm starting here. Belly and chest, fingers touching. I'm doing my good mornings. I'm going to have 10 of these. I'll do 4 just to save time here, hey? After I've had 10 of those, I'm going to move into my plank holds. So hands on the ground, checking my camera, my video, neutral spine, I'm looking here for 30 seconds. After I've had these 30 seconds here tick up, I'm going to find my object that I have acquired for my deadlifts. I'm going to go through 10 reps here, find weight in the outfield, hands together, itchy knees, standing tall for 10 reps, 2, make this 9, one more is 10, awesome, and then I'm going to come down to the ground and find my hollow position and live here for 30 seconds. Okay, oh, that is challenging. Here is good too. After that 30 seconds, I'm going to stand back up and I'm going to be starting my good mornings for the next round. Okay, just for time's sake, I didn't take risks between those and I'm puffing because of it, it would be a wise idea to give yourself a couple of breathers between each movement. All right, thanks and good luck.